So I thought I explained in the last video, the Script Keepers 13, about the two experiences that I had in death experience, where I actually physically left my body. But I have not explained the third part, which is why I thought I must give you a new video on it and share with you my thoughts. And I apologize if you are hearing weird noises in the background. Those are just my water pump working in the background. But anyway, on the third experience that I had after I had done a series of a lot of inner work on myself, and I had decided to break away from most belief systems that was holding me in. It was a lot of belief systems in terms of family, bloodline experiences, etc. Lots of stuff, like most of us are doing who are on this channel. I had an evening where I fell asleep and I found myself outside of my body, and it did feel as if I was leaving, as if I was going. I can't remember how it happened. It was not an astral travel. It was definitely not something like that. It was an actual event that took place where I found myself using what I had experienced previously. Like I said, when you go into I was learning to experience how to go within myself and twist back out, like Mobius coil. And I found myself outside of the entire reality. This is why I have since then, there was a long period that I was not making any videos on my channel. And I found it was very interesting to explore that, because after I'd come back, and I'll explain to you what I saw, and I felt it's important to share this information with you so that you know that I'm not thumb sucking anything that's coming to me, and why I always say things come from within. And I had the experience, it took a long while for me to integrate back into my body, months actually, because of my experience, which felt like I was outside of time, outside of most everything, outside of the realms in the last video that I've mentioned. And I felt I was in a space, in a type of area, ether perhaps, could be the better way of explaining it, where I was looking from the outside in, and I've never lost that ability because I always remind myself of how I felt. And I felt as if I was everywhere, but also observing everything from the outside in. And I could see that the world that we had existed in, the reality, the physical reality, was essentially set up in the terms of belief systems, ideologies, archetypes. And that is what holds the architecture of this reality in place. And I could see the system overlay, very much like a magnetic field. And so my experience was basically observing everything from the outside in. I could experience seeing multiple layers of worlds. I also asked why things were happening the way that they did. Why, and what was the whole point of experiencing all of these negative stuff that sometimes happens to people. And aside from that, I was extremely aggressively asking to try and get an answer, to get information, and I did feel the presence of a benevolent presence. But the last life experience that I had was one that was filled with a lot of warmth and kindness, unlike the experience that I had, which was outside of this reality, outside of everything, and looking in. And what was around me was, I wouldn't say stars, but I felt like I was in a fabric of some sort. And I experienced a lot of the energetic particles that were around me. It's like I was experiencing molecules and atoms and things all around me. And this was around 2015, I think, when all of that happened. And so when I came back, uh, well, the answer that I was given was not an answer. It was a sensation of there was a knowing that things were going really bad. There was a knowing that things were off the wall bad. There was a knowing that people were doing things to people, and there was a knowing of the conflict and the control and the influences and the frequencies that were happening here in this reality. But there was also a knowing that people are able to override that, to be able to beat it, and that it was basically, it had nothing to do, let me just tell you this, it had absolutely zero to do with anything of where people say, oh no, your experience is God looking into God through multiple bodies. That is bullshit. That did not come through. What was there was a false God frequency that was existing here and that was in charge of stuff. I mean, it's like having a bowl of fruit on your counter, and there's nothing wrong with the fruit that was put there, but it was how the fruit was interacting with each other that was the condition, the problem. There was leniency, things were let and left for others to choose from, to make choices, and it was because of that and the externalization of things all the time. And all these prophets and ideas and beliefs and religions and things had all added to creating an external layer of a reality for people to believe in, like an idol, an icon, a thing that's on the outside. And my concern was that the frequency itself, that I want to know how is it possible to actually override that. And the most think what was the most important thing for me to have figured out was that, look, it's got a structure to it, and you got to be super smart to be able to get around the structure, which is why I went back into setting up stuff for myself. Firstly, like I always say, I'm my own test subject. I do these tests on myself, and I could feel that these things were starting to change within me, and I could feel I was becoming less and less fixed within the realm dynamics, which is why I wanted to bring you back to the present now, to where we are and over the time. And I felt it was important to share the information to you, because what's going on right now is a frequency um, collapse of ideologies from different angles. One could call it an almost type of implosion of ideologies. There's another bunch that wants to push um, the constant resurrection of the system overlay so they could keep worshipping that fake god. And then there were the others that were pushing for revolution and religion and new ideas and new age crap. And then there are the other ones that are a much smaller percentage, such as yourselves, that are finding that you are seeking a way around this, or through it at least. And let me tell you, you cannot run through the wall. You cannot break through the wall and break sound barrier. You can't do that. You have to be very smart and move around and with and through things in a particular frequency within yourself. And that's the only way for you to be able to manage and navigate yourself within this reality as it is. And this is why I've been saying and trying to help people to understand that you need to make sure that you create within yourself a frequency that is a protective field. And you could call it your little universe, or you could call that your planet, or you could even create yourself into a planet if you needed to. It's not the point. That's not the point that I'm trying to make. What I'm trying to say is that you need to find a way within yourself It's always going to be through the heart. It's always going to be about realigning yourself to your will, to where you need to go. Aside from uh, uh, an original creator that actually I felt very strongly present outside of the entire reality. It's almost like God was locked out of the house type of thing. That's what happened. That's why we've been trying to get out of this space and actually really function in a way that would be less insane. But because of all of the fracturing of ideas and beliefs and things in this current reality time as it is right now, and it is mostly chaos, um, our intention needs to be to maneuver through everything. So that's what I wanted to share with you.